Did you know that over 15 million Americans suffer from social anxiety? That is over 7% of the population. So if you ever felt your heart race at a social interaction, or maybe you were afraid to approach that girl, trust me, you are not alone. Even me myself, I've actually struggled with mild social anxiety, and it actually got worse whenever I was in intense isolation. But over the course of time, I figured out ways on how to fix it, how to increase my social confidence, and that's what I want to share with you in this video. Now remember our sexual market value. I've done a whole video on this, but basically what I talked about was our tangible assets and our intangible assets. I realized confidence, social confidence especially, is an aspect of our intangible SMV. So you can be on paper a 9 out of 10, an 8 out of 10, a 7 out of 10, but a lot of people don't realize your confidence actually affects your results pretty much everywhere, right? And when I say confidence, I'm talking about your social confidence, your ability to meet new people and have positive interactions ongoingly. I remember in college, objectively, this guy was pretty unattractive. I would have rated him 4 out of 10 at the time. Average height, not that attractive. Women necessarily wouldn't take a second look at him if they didn't know who he was. But this guy was very well connected within the college atmosphere. He was in a frat. He had a lot of friends. He knew everybody. Everybody knew him. He was charismatic. He knew how to talk. He talked to everybody. He was socially confident. And for that reason, he lived on the same dorm hall as me. He will always tell me about his interactions with different women, show me them, and they were like baddies. Like at the time, I literally almost couldn't believe it. And I would look in the mirror and question myself, like, how is this guy having this much success with women, making these networking connections ongoingly? But me, myself, you know, I'm still working on my fitness a lot, but I was like, I'm more attractive than him. Like, isn't it about looks? Like, isn't that the aspect of making connections and getting girls? And that's when I realized, yes, looks definitely matter, but it's definitely a lot about social confidence, guys. Like your confidence will pretty much make or break your ability to actually get results. And that's why I also think a 5 out of 10 guy who is socially confident is going to be a lot more successful than a guy who's a 7 or 8 out of 10 who is not socially confident. Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about your own sexual market value right now. And if you don't know your own sexual market value, check out my free SMV calculator. I know a lot of you guys have used it already. However, this is going to give you a good gauge on your tangible SMV. Then once you figure out your tangible SMV, start thinking about the things that you can improve from an intangible standpoint. All right. So the free SMV calculator, I'm going to leave a link down below. Now, the things I'm going to tell you are completely natural without drugs, because we all had that time period to where in order to feel like our most confident version of ourselves, we had to take drugs or use alcohol. And I don't want you guys having that crutch. I want you guys to actually work on yourselves internally so that you don't need those crutches or those vices in order to feel like your most socially confident self. Because I promise you, if you keep going back to them on a weekly basis, or in some cases a daily basis, for some of you guys, you're going to be in complete reliance of that and you're never going to reach your true potential. All right, so the first thing we need to do is simply accept our personality. Me, myself, I mentioned this multiple times, but I am an introvert. I am not naturally the life of the party. I am not naturally a super extroverted guy who thrives on energy of just speaking to random people. I've never been that way. And if you're introverted like me, you know that in some cases you're almost shamed for being an introvert or for being more quiet, right? You probably heard this question, why are you so quiet? Or are you okay? When in fact, you're literally just listening. You're more of a listener. But what you guys need to do is not try to change yourself. You need to accept your personality and accept who you are. I've also done a personality test and it was stated that I am INTJ. INTJ was sort of my personality type, and these people are just more critical thinkers. A lot of people try to change their brain chemistry either through drugs or just overall being really hard on themselves on the fact that they're just not naturally confident. You gotta understand, everybody has good leveraging points and everybody has flaws. That socially confident person might not be the most attractive person. You know, you might be more attractive but less socially confident, right? Somebody who won the life genetic lottery, this person is really attractive and also socially confident. But point is, hone in into who you are and don't try to change yourself, but more so try to improve yourself. Because the more socially confident that you actually become, that actually starts to look more extroverted on the surface. But you know, deep down inside, you're still that introverted person. All right, so number 2, and this is going back to looks, but we do need to work on our looks. looks. And the reason is because of positive reinforcement. The reason why a lot of people are not socially confident is from the sole fact they got negative reinforcement their whole entire lives. Now let's talk about from a looks perspective. If you're an unattractive person, you're not in the gym, you're not in shape, you don't dress nice, you got acne, whatever it may be that's downgrading your looks, whenever you speak to people or when you've spoken to people in the past, they did not accept you. And for that reason, that has trained you and your brain to think, oh, I shouldn't speak to people, or I shouldn't, try to make friends with people because they treat me bad if I do. Whereas a more attractive person, when they try to engage in social interactions, or maybe when they approach that girl, they get a lot better results. That's positive reinforcement. And from that positive reinforcement, it actually makes them more confident over time. So the truth is, a lot of you guys just have ongoing negative reinforcement, and that's through you not working on yourself and maximizing your image to the fullest. So what we need to do is, once again, max out our base stats. We need to get to 8 to 12% body fat percentage. Non-negotiable. Most guys are going to look the most attractive version of themselves if they are in this range. Up next, we need to be in the gym at least 3 to 5 times a week. Me personally, I like to run a push-pull leg split 6 days a week, or an upper-lower split 4 days a week. I come from a calisthenics background, so I love training with my body weight, weighted calisthenics. That's how I enjoy my time in the gym. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't go, to be honest. And then of course the diet aspect, eating your protein, being consistent with that, and overall aligning your daily habits to that ideal person you want to become physically. Working on our fashion, wearing clothes that fit us. This is a process and this takes time. It's not going to be easy, but the more you work on yourself, the more positive reinforcement you're going to get, and that's going to directly affect your social confidence. Now, number 3, we need to do things alone. The reason why you're not socially confident is because you don't put yourself out in environments enough to actually gain the confidence or the social skill to actually speak to people, right? And that's because you probably have no friends, which is actually quite normal nowadays. If you're a remote worker, if you're a guy who sticks to yourself, once again, if you're an introverted guy, you already have a hard time making connections with people. You have to be really intentional with that. And because you see everybody else out in groups whenever you're out, you feel like you have to do the same thing. Let me tell you, bro, that's not the case. There's a concept called dating yourself, meaning that you enjoy activities, hobbies, or going places without the need of having a companion there. Me myself, I still do this to this day. If I find myself in the house a lot, which I work remotely, so I actually do, I have to force myself to go outside and do things alone. But because of that, I get more experience, I get more, situations and opportunities to actually interact with people, and I'm not afraid to do it by myself. Actually, a good sign of your social confidence is asking yourself, would I be okay with going to the bar alone? Would I be okay with going to a restaurant alone? Would I be okay with going to the cigar lounge alone? You really have to train yourself in order to do things by yourself, because people are just overall not going to be available to you at all times. Even if you have a big friend group, honestly, you can't necessarily hit up somebody. People have their lives, people are busy, people got other obligations. So with that being said, train your confidence to first do things by yourself, and that's an easy way to become more socially confident, because you're putting yourself once again in these environments on a consistent and ongoing basis. Now, number 4, what you need to do is have short interactions with people once you are out. Think about it. You don't speak unless spoken to, right? And that's a big reason why you're probably not socially confident, is because you're never the initiator. I've learned personally that in order to actually have a vibrant social life, for the most part, you're gonna have to be the initiator. Now, this could be for multiple reasons. Maybe you're intimidating. Maybe the vibe you give off is not necessarily the most inviting, right? And for that reason, people don't talk to you. But if you start making those connections, if you start greeting the waitress or the server or the cashier or the person at the front desk behind the gym, if you start making these small interactions over time, you'll start to realize that that can actually lead to a relationship or a connection in itself through that very, very small interaction. Not only that, but the more you talk to people, the more comfortable you actually get with speaking to strangers, which is probably the number 1 problem that a lot of you guys have, is the fact you can't speak to strangers, whether it be a man or a woman. So whenever you are out by yourself, try just having these short interactions, give yourself a goal, Maybe I'm gonna say good morning or hello to at least 3 people while I'm out today. You're gonna do that for a few days. And then maybe the next week you say, okay, I'm gonna say good morning to 3 people, and then one person I'm gonna ask a follow-up question. You see how this is a progressive process that over time you build and build upon. It's kind of like going to the gym. You don't start off by doing handstand push-ups. You don't start off by doing, 3-plate, 4-plate weighted pull-ups. You slowly work your way up. This is progressive overload with your speech. Now, also what we need to do is work on our body language. Remember how I said you probably don't look that inviting? You probably look mean, you have a resting bitch face, things like that. You need to have open body language and overall look like a more inviting person. If you're sitting by yourself, you're closed off, arms folded, if you're looking at your phone, if you're not paying attention to your surroundings, even from your facial expression, if you don't know how to, actively do a nice smile, have a smirk, look friendly, look inviting, then a lot of people are not going to want to talk to you. But also, whenever you do showcase yourself in a more approachable manner through these signs of open body language and just overall positive body language, that's going to naturally increase your confidence within yourself. And it really comes back down to vibrations, to energy. Me recently, I'm not necessarily on a spiritual journey, but I've been getting more into learning about energies and how that actually affects our perception of the world and how we feel. And I realized that people who are the most inviting and who look approachable are just naturally radiating in high energy, higher vibrations. There's an energy chart that you guys need to look up, right? We want to be in that 300 to 500 range. These are higher vibrations, but we're not getting to the point of crazy high vibrations to where we're ascending beyond the natural realm. We're not going that crazy, but we overall just want to be in a positive mindset, and that's going to show through our body language. Remember, the thoughts you think about yourself especially directly affects your confidence in that moment. So tell yourself, affirm to yourself, I am approachable, I am friendly, I am a social person. But when you tell yourself, nobody wants to talk to me, I'm not social, nobody likes me, then once again, once you affirm those thoughts in your head, that's going to showcase through your actions, including your body language, and we don't want that. And you do this so much that you get desensitized from it. That's all it really is. Once again, put ourselves in uncomfortable environments. Going out by yourself probably isn't the best thing or funnest thing you want to do. You see everybody else talking, you probably look nervous in your body language, but the more and more times you do it, the easier it gets. That's literally the only way to improve your social confidence, guys, is to literally just take action, is to just do it. Some of you guys are going to need some accountability. Some of you guys might want to do this with friends who have the same problem if you can, arrange that situation, but expose yourself to the issue. It's just like going out on a first date. Me personally, I remember I used to get nervous for first dates all the time. A new person, a new stranger, how is it gonna go? I'm thinking about the outcome, having mild anxiety. But once I'm there, warm up and it's all good. But I've realized that once I started going out on a lot of first dates and I exposed myself to the situation so many times over and over again, having the same conversations over and over, the amount of confidence I went to when I went out on a date was crazy, because I've been here 1,000 times. I'm used to this. I already know how everything's gonna go. And because of that, I've always had positive interactions, right? So you wanna relay that exposure therapy to pretty much anything that's uncomfortable for you, especially socially. Now, if you guys are on the Patreon, soon I'll be sharing some natural supplements you can take that can actually lower your anxiety and also increase your social capability. And these are not unnatural drugs, but once again, natural drugs. I'll post that on the Patreon soon. And also, once again, don't forget to check out the free SMV calculator if you want to see your tangible score. And then from there, think about your intangibles on how you can improve those. All right. So once again, that is for free. I'm going to leave a link down below in the description. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.